All right, ready? So music. I just can't take myself seriously. You know how long it takes me to like record anything? Here we go. Hi guys, welcome to It's a Functional Life with me, Amanda Rigby. Today I have a very special guest. Zoe Farricker is a registered dietitian. Like myself, we actually went through the same Hunger Games internship process together. So I'm excited to have her on today. We're going to be talking about my recent blog post about the new Weight Watchers teen program, as well as the rising incidence of body image, eating disorders, and just kind of how to talk about health with our kids and why we are not fully supporting the rolling out of this new teen program or any program that really targets teenagers. So I am excited to introduce you, Zoe, to my little fam and my listeners. I know they're probably tired of hearing my dietitian voice. So maybe they'll get a new insight. Are you agreeing with them? So we can actually see each other, which is different. Actually, no, it's not. Usually I have people physically with me, but when I do podcasts, I don't see them on the computer, but I can see you. So this is fun. Okay, so Zoe, say hi to my peeps and tell them a little about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Like Amanda said, I am a registered dietitian. I'm currently in San Diego, California, which Amanda is very happy to hear about all the time.
So how do we leave like warm North Carolina? I end up in the cold. She gets to go to San Diego. How does this make sense? Anyway.
That's for another time. So what I'm doing in San Diego right now is I'm starting my own business. I mostly work with older adults and weight loss, and I'm adding a teen and kid component into my practice in the very near future.
How fitting.
How fitting. It's something that's very near and dear to my heart.
Where'd you go to undergrad for dietetics?
I went to the University of New Hampshire. I have a dual degree, and one is in nutrition and dietetics, right, for our requirements to be a registered dietitian, and the other is in eco-gastronomy. So that is the study of sustainable food and food culture, which is something that I try to tie into my practice.
Yeah.
Which is very relevant out here in California, too.
Oh, that's so cool. That must be really fun. Awesome.
Yes.
So you are starting your own business, and then you also, on the side, work at this cool farm.
Oh, yes, I do. So I am working at a company called Lucky Bolt. So they do free delivery service to businesses in San Diego, and they are making their own food at the farm, using as many local ingredients as they can, and trying to make like the standard super healthy food very fun. You know, like sometimes we can get into a rut with healthy food that it's like grilled chicken, steamed broccoli, steamed carrots, but they're taking everything and trying to use all of these functional foods, like have multiple different cultures represented and get people really what they want. So it's a gluten-free paleo menu. I mean, mostly because of like what people want around here, but also it's a clean eating menu.
It goes across a lot of people's diet.
Yes. Yeah, but my favorite thing and everyone's favorite thing these days, they sell 16 ounces of roasted vegetables for like $4.
What? We are living in the best place. New England people, we gotta go. It literally, it snowed yesterday, and the day before was 65. So
yeah, I heard about that. It's been actually 40 here, and raining. So We've switched.
Oh, that's so weird. All right. So I know every dietitian is somewhat different, though we are, I believe, all cut from the same cloth to have gone through such a process, made it as far as we have, because it isn't a guaranteed job, which everyone knows I think is a very unique situation. Nice way of putting it. So it's not guaranteed. We've made it. But again, I do think, though we all are obviously passionate in food, a little type A to have gotten through what we have gotten through, I do think we all kind of either gravitate towards a specific, whether it's a population or food philosophy or a belief. I mean, like mine is food is medicine. Tell them a little bit about what your food philosophy is as a dietitian.
My food philosophy starts on the basis that everybody deserves to have access to health, right? So the way that I tie that into my practice is that mainly the people that I work with want to lose weight. And I try to take that thought of like weight loss and morph it into, I want to change my habits so that I can be healthier.
Right.
So my philosophy is that I'm here to help you take the next steps in order to live a happier, healthier life.
Right. And weight loss is a side effect.
Weight loss is a side effect, but it's not ever the main ingredient.
I like it. It. Okay. So I know, like you said, you work with a lot of adults and you're about to move into the teenagers or even kids, which I think is so obviously needed with the topic of today's podcast. So talk a little bit about the new Weight Watchers program in case people haven't heard about it. And then we'll go into kind of our feelings about it, why the science behind what we believe to be true, and why this isn't really matching up with our beliefs in food and dietetics in general.
Okay. So what I know about the Weight Watchers program so far is that it's being offered to teens for free. Isn't that correct?
Yeah. Right now they can join for free. So I'm sure it'll change because that doesn't make sense otherwise. But
right. So, but what I do know, I have a lot to say about it, obviously.
She's like gearing up. If you could see her, she's like running at the computer, like in place. Please let me talk. I'm like, we're getting there. The floor is yours.
So I know that you need a doctor's note to be able to qualify for Weight Watchers.
That's good. That was different than what I thought. So that's good.
Yeah.
I guess.
You can be between 13 and 17 to be enrolled in the program. But I do know, as a side note, that if you are 10 and older, you're able to go to the meetings and be a part of it. Fun fact.
Awesome. Add it to the
list. So, and then essentially, I believe it's the same as the point system now, but I did read that there were efforts to maintain weight with the points rather than lose weight, which is an added benefit. But
and I mean, the goal, like they're saying, the goal is obviously to help them develop healthy habits. Right. Obviously, we just don't see those matching with what we think healthy habits are, but that's what we'll get into. They also, I mean, as a business, they've said flat out that it's part of their plan to grow their loyalty, which like they're trying to have members for life, which is again against everything that we as dietitians believe in, because like I say, like I've talked about with my other guests, and I even say it to my clients, like I don't want to see you again. You know what I mean? I want to give you enough that you can go out and live the rest of your life and don't need me every day. I don't want a member for life because we have so many people we have to get to. Like, I don't have time to have every person for life. So,
Absolutely. For my clients, how I set it up is we see each other like 3 times a week to start out, and then we're slowly decreasing it to 2 and then 1. Yeah. They should be able to do things by themselves. Like eating is something we do every day. I want to be able to give them the tools to be able to make those choices without me.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And to add on to that, a lot of people that I do know that have done Weight Watchers have almost always relapsed to have to go back to Weight Watchers.
Right. And the reason that we know them from having done it, I feel, is because they end up in our chair, you know, trying to revert what they just did for the past how many years.
Right.
So
I've had people come in that are like, here's what I want to eat, here are my points, like, please help me match them up. And I go, can we please find another way to measure what you're eating?
Oh my goodness. So no, I've never experienced obviously trying to match anything for them. I've only, like I said, got them afterwards where they realized, okay, like this made me gain twice as much weight, if anything, or they were just tired of counting. But I saw it, the people I would work with at the internship, like all the older women there, it was neurotic. They were all doing it together, which is great to do something together. But oh my God, like they were counting out the Fritos out of the bag, like how many they could split. And I was like, this is insane. And that was their lunch. So, okay, go ahead. Why are we, not just me, a little fired up?
Well, but on that point with the Fritos, Weight Watchers did change, and they now have all those like 0 point foods to try to include healthier foods, free food.
I don't love that word either.
Oh, because everything has value, like good value.
Right. So now we're like saying that, like, because chicken is a free food, but I'm like,
I know.
So how much are you? I just can't. I can't.
Yeah, I can't believe that grilled chicken is a 0 point food. Because then you could just eat it all the time, and then that's calories. Then you can have calories for like the Fritos.
Right.
So let me eat a ton of my Fritos.
I can't. I mean, I've never, honestly, I know certain foods. I've never seen the full free food list, but anything in excess is excess. It doesn't matter what it is. So if you're going to deem something free, they're going to go run because it's free. Like, it's just, it doesn't.
I've seen the free food list, and I know the first page is straight fruits and vegetables. So that's exciting.
Sure.
To me, yeah, sure. You're like, maybe not.
Well, because I mean, personally, like if I was to, I don't track food, but the instances I have, I don't track my vegetables because they're not like to me, they don't add much calorie like value. So if we're counting, but again.
Yeah, like counting you definitely don't need, but this also comes back to the eat 7 to 8 or 8 to 10 fruits and vegetables a day. Like we already know this stuff. So to then just give it like an unlimited fruits and vegetables, you're skewing the information that people are getting.
Right. Again.
I'm pretty sure beans are also a free food.
That's a little crazy too. Oh gosh. Okay. We got to keep this focus on the teen program, but this is not a Weight Watchers bash, but we might need to do a second one going into what the heck is going on. And if anyone out here has experience with Weight Watchers and can correct us, maybe we don't have it right. This is just our experience from sitting on the other side of the table from the people who have done it. So again, please correct us if we're wrong anywhere and try not to take this personally. We are just about to share our background and scientific research to support the reason why we don't want teens focusing on dieting or their number on the scale right now. So why are we not feeling the teen program?
Okay.
Where do we begin?
Where do I begin? I feel like there's so much to learn about food, right? There's so much to learn about healthy food, and what's presented to us when we're young is my plate and calorie counting, and now everything that you can find on Instagram and all of the these and your protein powders and all of this like health food, right? Health food. So I think that the part that's unfortunate to me is that I don't feel like kids are actually learning about food. They're learning how to count food, but what does that mean in the long term?
Right. And
so I'm not sure
how to view foods. Like,
Right.
hmm.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what we're really teaching them, and that may come back to the loyalty of being on Weight Watchers forever, but I've never been able to decipher how a point equals a calorie
Right.
or any sort of
Right.
nutrient. So I'm just, to me, it's not something that I would see as sustainable for a child to start learning,
Right.
unfortunately.
I also think the point system, back to the Weight Watchers in general, but the point system itself gets abused because, I mean, as human beings, put a number on anything, right? We're going to either try our hardest to hit that number or stay below it. Say it is a weight, a grade, a time, like anywhere. That's our human nature. So if we're putting points on food, I mean, if I want a 5-point food, I'm not going to eat unless it's that 5-point. You know what I mean? If I have 5 points left,
Right.
I'm going to make it fit to whatever I want it to be. So if pizza fits in that 5 points, like I'm going to eat the pizza, So
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure where, and again, I have never done it. I've never like ripped into it that much, but I'm not sure where it, again, maybe this free food thing helps, but still, like if you still have 5 points left for the day, they're going to go for that extra because they still have it. So the point thing itself to me, like just that's not healthy to me, that whole mindset.
Right.
So.
And on that note too, like it's great for us to have a treat or something. And a lot of times, a lot of my clients want to have something that they enjoy at the end of the day. So maybe they do, I mean, I want them to know what they're eating throughout the day, but I want them to be able to enjoy something at the end of the night, and to put like a calorie cap or a points cap on that, where like you enjoy something if you're already trying to negate some of its qualities.
Absolutely.
By adding the point.
That's perfect.
Cutting the portion size.
Right.
And
I just think, so keeping it on the teens thing, I mean, what a fragile time frame. Even bring up these words, you know what I mean? And
like what vulnerable time.
Right. And I said that in my letter, and I said that they were like preying on this vulnerable population because, oh my God, the world that these kids are growing up in is all about what you look like because it's run by Instagram. At its most basic, we're constantly looking at people, and most of the time people's bodies 24/7, these kids. So I mean, this is just feeding into that, and I think it's a great marketing on their part, but to give them a place now to go, I don't know. But then again, what are they doing otherwise,
Right. To speak to that experience, so how I got to be a registered dietitian was when I applied to college, I knew exactly what I was doing to be a registered dietitian. I had lost weight as a teenager, went through that whole lifestyle change, and in my letter to school, like your personal statement, I said I made these lifestyle changes. I lost weight. I gained confidence, and now I'm who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
So weight loss piece was tied 100% directly into my confidence in who I was at that moment.
Right.
It wasn't like I was a smart student. I had a lot of friends. I was a nice human, but I did not have confidence because who I was 100% my weight.
Right.
I feel like that happens like no matter what size you are these days, because you're saying it's all around us. It was around us when we were young. It's like very in your face now. At any point that you're looking at your phone, you're seeing what other people look like and immediately comparing yourself, especially as a teenager, right? I just, to bring it back to the teens doing Weight Watchers, to give them kind of what seems like an easy way out, but not a long-term solution, to me is like preying on the kids.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and I tried Weight Watchers. I did Jenny Craig as a kid, so I know I know how easy it can be to jump onto solutions like that.
Right.
But
So go into a little bit about your experience with that. I think they'll be able to talk to what, the reality of the situation is right now with the new program. But also, like you said, it's not just this generation that's dealing with this, because obviously, like, I remember dieting as early as 10 as well. And it's like, what are we doing? How did we even get to that point? So talk a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, it hurts my soul to start off that you or I or any of these kids would think that they need to lose weight in order to be happy. I mean, I am all for healthy habits. If you want to say, like, I will feel better about myself if I eat more vegetables, like, okay, that's a statement I can jump on board with. But to change your whole body in order to find happiness is really, it's a really hard concept to deal with. It's a normal one, but it's a really hard one. So I guess to talk about my weight loss, mine is, I have to state that I like Jenny Craig. So Jenny Craig worked for me in where I was in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there were flaws. I don't think it fully set me up as an adult, but it worked for me for where I was at that time.
How old were you?
And so Jenny Craig did at 14.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'll tell you, like, what worked and why it worked the best. So Jenny Craig provides you food, right? And they give you like a set meal plan, but everything has you're learning about calories, you're learning about what like a full plate looks like. It's never about cutting food. For me, it was always about eating more food and adding more vegetables, always. I remember I got to a point at the end of it where I was like, I can't eat any more food because all I was eating was like with everything that I had.
Yeah.
But the biggest factor for me was I had a coach who became such an important part of my life, and she was transferred to multiple branches, and I actually like followed her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wouldn't have been success for me unless like I was with her.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
She was also diet tech, so she wanted to do the RD thing, but kind of got caught up in all of the other things that you have to do to become an RD.
Mm-hmm.
So she had the registered dietitian background. But the reason that Jenny Craig worked for me the most was because as a kid, I am not grocery shopping for myself. I'm not cooking for myself. So in the short term, it was helpful that food was provided for me.
Mm-hmm.
And in the long term, it's not helpful because I then never figured out how to like cook for myself. It took a long time.
That's true. Now, where did that idea come from? Or like, was that your decision? How did that come to be?
So it was a decision by my parents. I was a very overweight, unhealthy kid, and it wasn't just weight, it was my habits. So I was eating like bagels 100% of the day, like just a ton of bagels. I can't remember how many
bagels.
Bagels to this day are still my favorite food, but you know.
As a you treat. Actually got on eating an avocado every day. That was from you.
Yeah, those are my favorite. I know, I was impressed that I saw you were eting a full one. So
every day, straight out of the core, whatever the thing is.
That's the thing. So I was unhealthy. I wasn't exercising, but I have a dad who owns a gym. So like being healthy was a big part of our lifestyle. I had a large supportive network of people who were in the health profession.
Okay. And so you kind of grew up with that.
Yeah, I did. And my parents had tried, like I did gymnastics, I was a swimmer. But once I got to middle school, I just kind of stopped doing everything and started watching TV. And just my weight just kept and then the big factor in my life was that my mom passed away. And she passed away not from obesity related diseases, but she had been overweight her whole life, and that was something that she also struggled with. So the diet culture in my house was mostly from my mom. And then after she passed away, I kind of had a little wake up call, like, this is not how I want to be spending my life, sitting in front of the TV eating.
And
I
how
want to
old
be
were
able
you
to
then?
13.
Okay. Interesting. So you were what's the word I'm looking for? You agreed with your parents' decision to do Jenny Craig. Like, you weren't forced to?
Was not forced to. So I had always been working with a registered dietitian. So for the like 3 years before my mom passed away, I had a registered dietitian, I had a personal trainer. And they
Wow.
were helping. Yeah, I was a very lucky kid.
Serious.
And they were helping me, and they were very supportive, and it took their motivation for me to make a lifestyle change. And the only reason that Jenny Craig really worked for me is because my dad didn't cook for us.
Right.
So he wasn't going to start, unfortunately. He's a great dad, but that was not what he was going to do.
Yeah.
So I just needed the access.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But if he had been cooking for me, like when I learned to cook, I don't think that I would have necessarily needed Jenny Craig. I just needed the food. I didn't need like the entire.
Yeah, no, you needed food in general. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you feel the appropriateness is for the 13 to 17-year-old, because that's who they're targeting, who may, okay, let's go with that, they may be slightly overweight, don't have a gym in their backyard, don't have a health background or access, just an average kid right now that is spending a little too much time inside. How do you feel the level of appropriateness something like Jenny Craig Weight Watchers is at that age?
Am I allowed to say 0?
No, you are. And it almost seems like you wouldn't say 0 because you were that 13-year-old doing Jenny Craig. So you could see how you would get behind something like that. But yours was more for access to food. Like, this food was coming prepared for you as a kid,
right,
with no ability to cook and get food. So this is how you got your food. And luckily for you, as an overweight child, it was in proper portions, it was healthy items. So that was good for you. So for me, like, I'm just thinking about this age group, and there's no stopping like having it be a thought, but how do we get people to understand, and even parents who maybe see the growth chart and are like, oh no, like my kid's higher up on it or something, how do we get them to understand that, like, again, it is such a fragile time of their life. Their hormones are going so crazy. I just feel like we all were those either super chubby 13-year-olds or the really skinny, awkward one. Like, I was too. How do we, first of all, like, just kind of, for lack of better terms, like, chill everybody out with this age group, but also promote health to them in a way that doesn't make them jump on the scale every morning like we would when we were little.
Right. I think it's a really hard question.
It is. I uphill battle.
I'm not a parent, right? So, but I can imagine, and like from working with parents and their kids, it's a scary thing. Like, you want what's best for your child, you're trying your best, and suddenly they're not in the healthiest of states, and I just imagine that's a really hard thing, because you want to be able to do your best. So the question was, like, what do we say to these parents, right?
Yeah, let's go with that. No, like, let's roll with that thought process. So, like, how do we talk to parents who, okay, first, might think their kid is going toward the heavier direction maybe, or just in general, like, who want to create a household of health, without making it the focus, you know, so
Yeah.
that they don't grow up knowing or needing to like care so much about their number on the scale. Let's say.
Yeah. My mind is going like a million directions right now with that. That's a big question.
I know.
So if we start with like, so a teenager, right? Maybe not the healthiest habit, sitting inside, and your parent just wants you to like get up off the couch, right? I know my mom would always say like, that she just needed me to go outside or do something different. And it's just like, just small changes, right? So for me, an important thing with the parent-child relationship is to not focus on weight. But you can focus on, I want you to eat more vegetables today. Like, you don't have to say that, but to present it, you know, like a model for your child. Like, I worked with a family for a while where the son was gaining weight exponentially. He was always hungry, and the parents were very, very concerned about him. He was sneaking food a lot. And they would always have him exercise, like by himself at night in their basement. And it was a punishment. So he had to exercise because he was fat.
Ugh.
Yeah. But then the older sister, she played softball, and she like exercised and was very thin and maybe had some eating disorder signs and symptoms, but she was fine. Like, they were very happy with her. They could go on walks and walk their dog together, but the son had to walk on a treadmill.
Ugh.
So my whole point to that story is, if you, as a parent, if you can walk with your kids, if you can enjoy healthy food with them, and if you can focus on things that aren't weight, if you can say like, really smart, you're very helpful, like,
yeah,
you're really great at whatever instrument you play. There are so many things that we can acknowledge our kids and our fellow human beings for being,
right,
that don't have anything about our body image.
right.
Like, even just a girl and saying, "Oh, you're so beautiful," is kind of taking away from anything else that they could accomplish.
Exactly. No, that's so true. That's good. So I agree. I think just being involved, being a role model. I mean, if at this point, as the parent, like, you're the food buyer, so you have a bit of control over the choices that are in the house, in the pantry, at the level that whatever age they can grab it, they can access it. So in a sense, like, you do kind of have control of what they do and eventually eat. But I think it's healthy to not necessarily like talk about, like you said, food even all the time, you know, and just like you were saying, present it as what it is supposed to be. Lots of veggies, like just what we know for it to be, even somewhat following like the My Plate recommendations, not demonizing any one food or food group.
Yep.
Not using, like you said, food as a reward. So if you finish your homework, you can have ice cream, or no ice cream if you don't finish your homework, like vice versa. So punishment or reward. I don't think food should ever be that thing.
Yeah, why not ice cream a few times a week, regardless of the homework status?
Right, exactly. Yeah, and then, yeah, like, how do we get to that point of having the healthy relationship that we have now with food, where, like, we would have thought having ice cream every day, like, was going to kill us or something.
And I think to that point, too, as a parent, I couldn't imagine, like, my kid constantly counting points.
I can't imagine.
You wake up, breakfast, they count points. You want a snack in the middle of the day, the first thing that you do is count points.
Right.
Even if you're counting calories, you're still, like, taking a step, thinking about whether the calories are good or bad.
It's still that mindset.
And then choosing, versus, like, this is what I want to eat right now. This will make me feel good. Let me eat it.
Right.
You know, that's a much healthier thought process than I need to count a calorie. Or count a point, count a calorie. Oh, I can't eat that. Oh, I can eat this. I don't want to eat it, but I'm going to eat it anyways.
Yeah, no, and I think that's so important what you said of how they feel, because I think that's a great way to get in tune with this age group, or even, I mean, anybody, but this age group in particular, like how do they feel after eating a certain thing, and kind of going off of that. I mean, it could be good or bad. You could use it in those examples, because if they realize they don't feel good doing something, they'll learn on their own. Maybe that's not, you know what I mean? It's just like a classical conditioning thing in that sense, but not telling them that X is going to make them feel a certain way so that they already come into foods with a predisposition. Because some days a Snickers bar would make me feel like crap, but some days if that's what I want to eat and I'm going to be fine with it and that's what I'm going to have, move on, like that's it. So one food, we could use it both ways, but if we don't have to.
And I think too, the clients that I work with right now are older women in their 40s. And that's a concept that I'm teaching to them right now.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. So even there, like that's where we start.
Right. So, but then regress it. We have this opportunity for 13 to 17-year-olds to be able to learn this 30 years earlier. Like, and we're teaching points when we could be teaching like how to feed your body.
Right.
And so we're just setting up another set of 40-year-olds who don't know, who are confused about what to eat.
Absolutely, because I think it's, what is it, like 91% of Americans, the statistic, American women report being dissatisfied with their body. So we can imagine how we spill this down onto everyone around us, whether or not we mean to. But again, like we have to watch how we talk around, you know, even I just remember my parents were always dieting. Diets were normal, you know, so like we would go on the diets together when I was like 10 years old, and I just knew something wasn't right enough that we always had to be dieting. So we tried every single thing in the book. So just like watching your words, like I just remember men sometimes don't watch their tone, but I remember my dad would like comment on how we would look, whether it was in a bathing suit or something, and that stuck with me forever. And I'm like this little chubby 10-year-old, and I remember Googling how many calories are in a pound on my family computer, this big box thing, and it was like 3,500, and I was like, okay. So then I go downstairs into like the little gym that no one ever used, but we had because we were dieting all the time, got on this elliptical, didn't know what to do, and I just would go until it hit 3,500. When does elliptical ever hit 3,500? Never. Like it's literally hours. And I would be crying and sweating and just being like, okay, like I just have to get the 3,500. We have to watch our words with these kids.
Right.
This stuff sticks with you forever.
Right. I remember to that effect, I was always working out with my friend, and she and I were like watching what we ate together, and we would get on the elliptical and we would burn 1,000 calories every night. I mean, we hung out, but it was always against our bodies.
Right.
Never for.
Right.
And we would have like all of these lists are like no foods. So we would eat a ton of them over the weekend, and then during the week we'd be like, nope, I can't eat these, but we're gonna exercise them all off.
Right.
And it was never an enjoyable experience with food.
I used to wear a elastic around my wrist and snap it on myself if I was hungry.
Yeah,
like where do we get these things from?
The deep dark web where they would give us all of those tools on how.
No, exactly. And I think maybe it goes back into the school system. Like, how do we change the health curriculum to be talking about food as not only like the caloric value that it provides, but what it does? Because I'm always talking about like how food is information for the body. Obviously, 1,000 calories of Coke versus 1,000 calories of broccoli are going to be perceived differently. So that negates the whole points concept. You know what I mean? If I'm allowed 5 points of broccoli or 5 points of pizza, my body's going to interpret it differently.
Right.
You know, I'm going to store the pizza as fat, etc. Like the broccoli is going to be fine.
Yeah.
Actually, I never had health class, which is so true because I was in Catholic school. So we didn't talk about, we should have talked about our bodies. but I think it was more so we never had to talk about sex or anything, but I never had health class. So maybe I'm naive to what they're teaching in health now, but it's not that calories aren't created equal. It gets a little too deep, but we do need to sum it into a understandable thing so that kids go forward and eat food because it not only is fueling, but because it feels good.
Yeah. So I was in a high school last year, and I did a few presentations to the freshman class on how to have a healthy diet, like what it looks like, where we get our information from, what calories can really mean, and which was mostly just like, it fuels your body. Let's not count them. Let's make sure we're getting enough. Right? So, and I can't imagine like how powerful it would be if we taught kids the function of food, how nutrients can really power our lives versus your BMI needs to be in this range.
Right.
That's what the focus is.
If you're 5 feet tall, you have to weigh, 105 pounds. Get out of here because I'm 5 feet tall. So,
yeah, that's true. Can you imagine how powerful that would be if as a teenager you knew that about vegetables or about the new herbs these days or why vitamin C is important? Like, could you imagine how powerful it would be if you focus more on those rather than calories?
Right. Or that certain foods are bad or good.
Right. And there are foods that are really stellar, like really cool. Like, and if we could just teach people about those foods, I think that we'd be setting up kids for success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful concept. We should go and teach some high schoolers.
I know. Maybe we have to change our plans.
We have new careers now.
Right. Okay. So let's sum up for our audience. As the parents who are listening, maybe confused or have heard about the Weight Watchers teen program, concerned that maybe their child isn't where they're supposed to be, which again, this program is just kind of shining a light on a topic that might not necessarily be necessary yet. It's like, should teens be dieting? If there's programs for it, it's like, no. If we're going to cut some stuff out, like, there's so many hormones that they need right now to be fueled by things like fat and carbs that those programs are going to take out right away. So we're, okay. Anyway, I'm trying to sum it up.
I don't think that we can stress the fat one enough. Like, all of your sex hormones are being created
to the fat girl here.
No, that's why I brought it up. Fat is so, so, so important at that time. And then to restrict calories and even like for me with Jenny Craig, like they didn't focus a ton on fat. Like I was eating my carbs, my protein, and some fat, but I could have done.
The guidelines were still at 10% or whatever.
Right. So
well, okay. I guess no. It kind of makes it clearer for me because I'm thinking about this and I'm saying this is what I'm teaching. Like you said, my 40, 50, 60-year-olds right now. So that's the problem because again, it's trickling down. If it's our 91% of our women are dieting and dissatisfied with their body, of course we're going to have kids focused on the number and not focus on diets. And even the parents thinking they should be. So we need to go to the source, I think, of where this is coming from again. And it isn't what we're teaching now. I think, again, it just needs to be more clear and give the adults the freedom with food so that they can go forward and transform their house. That's where I might start. I don't know about you. You're going to work with the kids, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, where I would start is where I start with my clients now is I want people to feed their soul. That is what food is for me. That's what I hope food is for everyone is we're nourishing our bodies. We're happy. We have a good relationship with food. And I just think with teens, the most important thing is to take small steps in that direction. And so if you're with your teen and you want them to eat healthy, like what healthy foods do they like? Keep a mental note. Try to keep those around.
Right.
Like your soul, show them that you're happy with what you're eating Like, there's nothing more fun than eating your favorite food and like getting really excited, and everybody should be able to enjoy that. So for me, I think the most important thing is for parents to feel that way about themselves, and then be able to share food and enjoy food with their kids. And the same with exercise activities.
I like it.
Yeah.
Again, focusing on the long-term baby steps that get us to that point.
Yes, absolutely.
Will create lifelong healthy adults, which is, we need more of those.
Yeah.
I like it.
Because, I mean, think about like the time that we spend on food, thinking about food right now. I mean, you and I think about food a lot. It's our job. We love it. But it's such a small part of an entire big picture of life.
It can be, if we let it be.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
It can be
like
100% of our life.
Right. I mean, like us, but it's positive.
Right. Unless you're a dietitian and you're thinking about food 100% of the day, we might have. Because unless you're getting paid for it, do not do that.
Right. Yeah, that's really the takeaway.
A little stressful. But I think that's a good good message.
Fair enough.
Any final thoughts or anything you want to leave these people with?
Well, my final thought is really what I said before. Like, please eat and enjoy yourself. Like, get what you need and try to take the pressure off of weight. Like, this is about long-term solutions, like you said, to just continue to eat healthy and make changes in our life. And that's not a short-term point system solution. That is not a summer program. It's a personal journey, and it's 70 years long of like just these small steps towards learning what feeds your soul, feeds your body.
Right. Because at 80, we're all just going for the cupcakes anyway.
Right. We can have the cupcake now, but we might have.
We're going to have all of them when we're 80 anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm just kidding.
Avocado when I'm 80.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. I do hope that we can, us ourselves, it is our position and our platform that we do have the ability to kind of teach and help families one at a time implement these healthy habits. But I hope people do take a second look and know what to look for in programs, know what to look for in their house and in themselves regarding food and health in general, because it's much more than the number on the scale.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
This is fun. All right, guys, stay tuned for next episode. This was our registered dietitian, Zoe, talking about a nice, healthy relationship with food. See you later.